You're listening to the Fear of the Southwest podcast. This is Drew.
And I'm Stephanie.
Welcome to Season 3, Episode 8, Space.
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 Outer space or like I need space?
Outer space,
Okay.
but both are scary.
Very scary. No one wants to hear they need space, right?
I need space. Why? What did I do? Anyways, outer space.
Outer space.
This started because we watched a creepy movie called Event Horizon this weekend.
Has anyone seen that?
We have.
It was an interesting movie. I mean, I think I remember renting it, you know, back in the day when you'd go to Blockbuster and you'd look at all the movies and read the backs of them. I don't think a lot of people do remember that. Ooh, but anyways, I think I remember my mom getting it for me, and I think we started watching it, and I can remember her turning it off at some point and putting something else on. When your parents do that, it can only mean one thing.
Probably not the best movie for you to be watching.
Probably not. I think I was 10 when that movie came out.
It was made in the 90s, and it shows.
I like the music, though. You know, that 90s techno-ish, matrix-y kind of music? That was in there, yeah.
That's its own category. 90s Matrix-y music. Matrix-y.
Prodigy, you know?
Anyways,
it was an interesting movie.
yes, it was, and there's like a cult following, and it's either the movie's really, really fucking terrible, or we love it. Where do you stand on that?
I liked it.
I wonder why.
I could tell you weren't really...
I feel like if they were to make the movie now, it'd be way better.
Probably. Well, that's 90s, you know?
The story was like ahead of its production value.
Definitely. But that's what makes cult followings, too, sometimes, because the movie only attracts a certain amount of audience. You either love it or hate it, but I don't know. I'd watch it again.
You would, wouldn't you?
I would. All right, so those of you who haven't seen the movie,
Spoiler alert.
it's about a spaceship that is orbiting Neptune, okay? And it goes missing. This is like in the near future. It's like what, 2047 or something like that?
3 years, very interesting. 2015 popped up, and like supposedly in 2015 we are way ahead of where we are now.
Yeah, what was it, like the regular launchings to the moon or something like that?
Yeah,
and it's
there was like a station
it's
on the
2020
moon.
and we can't even wear masks. But
There was a station on the moon. Like, really?
yeah. But okay, so it's 2047, and this spaceship that went missing 7 years prior shows back up on the radar. All right, and it shows some activity, but they can't tell if there's an actual life force on the spaceship. So this crew that is nearby, they go on this rescue mission. This doctor is a part of the crew. This is the doctor who created the spaceship. And so they go and they find the spaceship, and the crew is wiped out. There's no crew left, but there's blood everywhere, like
What's the,
all over, and skeletons. And
what's the ship called?
the Event Horizon.
That's a ship name. And what's the ship that went to rescue this Event Horizon?
Lois and Clark.
Superman. No. They send a ship called Lewis and Clark to go get the Event Horizon.
I think it's about the explorers who went and discovered, like, you know,
Some weird shit.
the Pacific Northwest. You know, they had Sacagawea with them. I think it's that Lewis and Clark. Who knows?
Yeah, you're right. But
Okay.
the one observation I have, just based on the ship,
Okay.
do you see the size of Lewis and Clark versus the Event Horizon ship?
Yeah.
They sent this puny ass little ship to pick up this giant, enormous I don't know how the fuck they got that thing in spaceship. Yeah. You guys watch that movie, you're going to see the size of that thing. It's like fucking 5 football fields long. And there's like a mile-long hallway between 2 holes of the ship. Like, why was that even necessary? Well, it's unneeded weight. It's not even aerodynamic.
Unpressurized space.
They needed the non-gravity for that thing to fly. I want to know how they got it off the ground. They probably built it in space.
They probably did. Remember, this is in the future.
Time travel. Ooh.
Well, it does time travel. What happened is this freaking ship went through a black hole, which was 7 years long Earth time, but like within seconds in the spaceship's time. Okay?
Wait. Was it a wormhole or a black hole?
It was a black hole. Because remember, he folded like a piece of paper and tried to demonstrate it.
Wormhole. He made a wormhole out of it, yeah.
But anyways, okay, so there's blood everywhere. There's skeletons. There's this missing cruise ship. And they're trying to figure out what's happening. But people on the cruise ship are starting to see images of things that they fear the most. And the ship starts to pick up on their secrets. It's almost like they've crossed over into hell. There's another movie that's kind of similar to that. I'll talk about that one later. But it like hones in on the person's worst fears. Like this one girl, her son's paralyzed. And so she sees her son on the spaceship and she knows he's not there, but her mind convinces her that he's there. And his legs are like rotting off of him.
Gross.
Yeah.
Really gross.
Yeah. So it like hones in on their fears and stuff. Mm-hmm. And then like they find like a black box or something.
Oh God, that black box.
And so they have to like decode it to find out what happened to these people.
I have to laugh.
Okay. What?
I have to laugh about this, what they called it then.
What did they call it?
Think about Instagram and your pictures. Run it through the filters. Run the images through the filters. This is 1997, guys. Run it through the filters. And it's like a complicated process. They're like, shit, it's not working right. God, the filter, I can't get it to work. Meanwhile, we're like, filter, swipe right. Oh, wow. Amazing. The clarity. You want vivid? Speaking of vivid, what was the images that they discovered on this black box?
Okay.
First of all, I got to point out it was a CD.
Yeah, it was a CD.
It was a fucking CD.
It could have been a floppy disk, you know? Back then, you were kind of borderline. Are you a CD person or are you a floppy disk person?
They thought that was, 2047 was still CDs. Sorry.
Getting close there.
Apparently my headset does not like the microphone at all. Anyways, so yeah, they go to the black box, and they go to the black box. I am not kidding you. It's literally a stack of CD-ROM fucking drives stacked up. It's like you were to take a CD-ROM drive from your PC and just stack them up, like 8 of them. They're like, and they hit like an eject button. It's like, beep. That's the black box for this Event Horizon. It's a freaking CD that looks like you remember making the remixes?
Yeah, I remember that.
I just found mine from 2004.
Oh my gosh.
CD, Drew's remix.
You need to listen to that.
It's all scratched up, but
Pour alcohol in it. Remember?
Oh no, it's toast. It's like, I don't know, scratched. But anyways, they literally, it ejects the CD, like, they're like, wow, 2047, this ship's like fucking by Neptune, but yet the black box is a fucking CD-ROM drive. I wonder how much information you really fit on that thing, because you know how long, you were lucky to get 12 songs on that CD before it was full.
Well, that's probably why the images were such snippets.
Hey, it's all the megabytes you can handle.
All right.
But
So they go through the film or whatever.
The footage.
The footage to figure out what happened to this crew. And it starts off pretty normal. Everyone's just like talking, having normal conversation.
Speaking in Latin.
Yeah, and then they start speaking in Latin, and then all of a sudden, there's just snippets of moaning and gore, like body parts, and this guy's like putting his fist down his own throat and like tearing out his tongue or something, and then this one guy has eyeballs on his hands.
And he showed him off.
And then like, it's like an orgy.
It's a manslaughter orgy.
Yeah, it was
Disturbing.
It was disturbing, and it only lasts like a few seconds, but it was enough for us to be like, "What the fuck did we just see? Like,
What was that?
Was that?"
You only get it's like maybe 10 seconds of footage.
And that's the thing about this movie. Like, they keep seeing snippets of their worst fears, and as the movie progresses, you start to see what actually happened to the crew. The crew mutilated themselves, each other, and you see snippets of their body parts hanging everywhere, and like their torso missing, and like
Eyeballs. That
yeah,
was a big
there was
thing.
a lot of stuff about eyeballs, but
missing.
this one guy gouged his own eyeballs out.
But remember what they said in the movie? Where we're going, we won't need these
Yeah,
because it's so dark. Mm-hmm. Creepy.
it was creepy. So somehow this spaceship went through a portal to hell. The freaking ship was hell itself because it was fueled by everyone's fears. That's what fueled the ship, fear.
That's deep.
That is deep. It was weird.
Now, like I said, would be a great movie for 2020.
Probably.
The productions that, well, except for COVID, but
But-
production, if they, weren't using CD-ROM drives as a black box.
But get this, there's like over 100 hours of footage that did not make it to the film. They had to really pull some strings to even get this film out there. All right. One of the critics that was, watching the film fainted because the images were so bad. So somewhere out there, there's probably a reel of footage that was supposed to be in this movie, but because it was so graphic, especially for that time, even now it's probably graphic, but
It's definitely graphic. No joke about that. It's definitely a graphic movie, especially for 1997. Now, still graphic. Don't let your kids watch it.
yeah, definitely. I remember seeing the beginning, and I remember the exact part where my mom shut it off. And I think we put on a different movie.
Good
We
choice.
always used to get two. I think one was always a just in case.
that
First
was
one
one-
doesn't work out.
And that was good thing we got the just in case movie. Right?
Yeah.
Now, I noticed when we were watching this movie, this might be in your guys' case in the audience that, the name doesn't sound familiar. Like, Event Horizon, what is that? Then you start watching, like, oh, I've seen this. That's exactly what happened to us. I'm like, I've seen this. And you know what the image was that made me go, yeah, I've seen this. I remember now.
Which image?
The stupid gravity drive, the spinny thing. I'm like,
Oh,
I've
yeah.
seen that. Now I remember the movie. Mm-hmm. I don't know why, but even then, that thing had power over people. But that's a creepy movie, guys. Event Horizon. Check it out.
Watch it. Let us know what you think. If
Tell
you
us
remember it.
If you remember it, tell us what you think, because we're dying to know if this is a cult classic or a cult flop.
I actually liked it.
I liked it for the story. I just didn't like the production of it. Maybe it's because I have to realize it's 1997, but even from 1997, there's a lot better production movies for 1997. I can't think of any off the top of my head, but that one did not strike as like a wow, stunning for 1997. But then again, there's also that 100 hours of footage that, apparently made a critic faint. Bring that shit out. The world needs to see.
I don't know.
Maybe not. I'm just kidding. Maybe don't bring that out. But, it makes you wonder.
Like, space in general is just really scary. Like, you watch all these movies, and even in this movie, in the Event Horizon, where people, they have to go in like a stasis. This is where their body is balanced and maintained for the number of days or even years of travel that is necessary to get to whatever planet or orbit that they're supposed to be in. But there's so many movies where people are in stasis and wake up earlier than the rest of the crew, or they wake up because some disaster has happened. Like, that in itself is creepy.
Yeah. Can you imagine? It's a 65-year stasis, and you wake up in the first 5 years.
Right?
You perfected space travel to go that distance, but somehow your stasis system fails on one cabin.
Just think about that. For like 65 years, your body is preserved, maintained. You wake up the age that you went into stasis. Your family is probably gone. Your friends, deceased. Like, that in itself is just creepy thinking about. Like,
And all the change.
yeah, in that type of, mindset, that knowing that when I wake up, everyone I know is probably going to be dead, except these people that I'm on the crew with or something. Like, that's got to be a little interesting,
It's fucked up. It's creepy. But yeah, that's a common theme with them. Like, oh, I woke up early. What do you do? And like, do you try to put yourself back in stasis again? And it doesn't work.
Yeah, like what if it doesn't work?
Then what? Like, what if you were a 50-year-old man, woke up on a 65-year stasis journey, and you woke up in the first year of it, while your young crewmates are still, just cruising in stasis mode. They're not aging, and then if you even make it through the whole journey. And then also you got to think about, oh, well, shit, if you're going to survive in stasis, if you have to travel for, I don't know, how long distance that was, you're having to eat up the supplies that was, designed for you when you woke up.
Yeah. The movie I was thinking about, it's that movie Passengers. It has Jennifer Lawrence in it and Chris Pratt. He wakes up super early. He wants a companion, so he wakes her up purposely. And after like a year of bliss and happiness, she finds out that he woke her up on purpose.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like, that was the movie we were trying to think of.
Yeah.
I remember
it
has the robot bartender in it.
Yeah, but it was so sad. Like, he was awake for a long time before he woke her up. Like, just the loneliness. He got depressed. You can only work out and eat and do so much.
Yeah, you're basically in a craft, traveling into the unknown. Well, in our case, the unknown. Maybe to them, like, they knew where they were going, but let's get to some really interesting, creepy, actual space stories, like from astronauts.
Oh yeah.
Let's turn back to, real time. Not we use floppy drive CDs as black box time. Thanks, 1997. They want 1997 called. They want their CDs back.
Well, maybe we can get enough people to watch it, and then we can get a remake.
Ooh.
Would you star in it?
Yeah, but you know what they say about cult classic. If this is a cult classic, they might screw it up. But I do agree. If they would have,
it's just before its time.
It was definitely before its time. Production was just not ready for that kind of story. It was like the story was stellar, like really cool, like
visual effects. 90s visual effects. Right at that border of the 2000s. So it kind of makes us laugh a little.
Even for 1997, I was like, they didn't have enough budget for that. I swear, like, I look at that CD-ROM area, and that was like my indicator, like, they junked that out of a PC. You just know it. They went to an electric junkyard or, like, got, like, the crews, hey, anyone have a computer laying around with the CD-ROM drive? You know how easy those things are to pull out? Slide in, slide out, disconnected, there you go. Next thing you know, that's their black box is a stack of like 8 of them, and they pulled out a CD. What? That thing went through space travel?
Okay, so I remember one of my very first jobs, the vet clinic. I used the closer, so I had to, balance books and make sure all the money was there and stuff. And I had to put a floppy disk into the computer as our backup hard drive. And every time we had to erase the last backup, put in the new backup, scratch out the date, and put it an initial. We just had like this whole box of floppy disks. Like January, February, March, April.
Oh man, good old floppy disk. What do you got in your computer? 3.5-inch floppy drive. Yeah. It's the shit.
Not to age me or anything, right?
Oh god. Yeah, I remember the floppy. I remember putting a game, like old computers, like, and it was like a floppy drive. You like, really?
My favorite was Asteroid.
Bowling.
Oh, yeah. All right, back to space. Back
to space.
Yeah.
Sorry.
We tend to
talk
do
about
this a lot.
We talk about space, and that's where our mind goes. Space.
Floating somewhere.
Somewhere in space. We don't know what's coming out of our mouth sometimes, but that's okay.
So what are some stories that you know about astronauts?
Real astronauts. Okay, so space is really a creepy place. One, you're into the unknown. Okay, they don't know what happened. What's going to happen once they hit orbit or they get out of Earth's atmosphere, per se. They have a general idea, like, we're going to go to the International Space Station. We're going to connect, and you guys do your scientific stuff, and then you come back to Earth. I swear to God, that's how NASA plans. Sorry, people in the Challenger. So sorry. That was a tragic, by the way. That was poor planning. But that's a topic for our other channel. We'll keep it off this one. Also, speaking of the other channel, it's going to be called Anything and Everything Drew. And that will be coming back shortly. And we'll see you guys on that channel as well. If you guys are too scared of this channel, that one's a little not as scary. Or is it? Anyway, so real life astronaut told spooky stories from space.
Yeah.
Now, you paint the picture, okay? You're in a ship. You're doing a mission or whatever. Like in 2003, a Chinese astronaut goes into space, right? And I'm not going to try to name the craft, but long story short, he's in space and literally sounds like someone's on the outside of the ship. Wait, what? Wait, what do you do? You can't just open the door. Like, who's there?
Yeah.
Now, let's say it's a vacuum state, all that stuff that, would probably freak me the fuck out in the middle of space. Yeah. Because what do you do? All you can do is listen to it like, oh, shit. Am I getting hit by asteroids? No. And then the thing that is compelling about that, the knocking noise, is 5 other astronauts, after he said something about it, experienced the same thing. So, that's a creepy one.
That is creepy.
Apparently, Apollo 10 astronauts heard alien music in their headphones.
Alien music? What is alien music sound
I don't
like?
know.
Imagine like Star Wars.
Bum, 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 bum. Shit. Okay. What did we do? Why did we piss off Vader for? Shit.
But I don't know, think about space and then being, the pressure, and if your suit comes ripped or something, you're exposed, your body shrivels up, your eyes just gouge out, your eyes can explode. Space is just scary.
There's a description how they described alien music.
Okay, tell me about the alien music, sorry.
They're calling it spacey music. SPACEY music. Spacey music. This is how we invented dubstep, people.
Well, well, think about it. You're in space and there's probably, I don't know. It was probably, I don't know how to explain that. I try.
I don't know how you would describe that music other than maybe it's really weird radio interference or they're getting some weird shit.
Yeah.
Apparently there's been people that's seen UFOs from space, like a circling craft. It disappears. Mm-hmm. You might be used to how, we see it from Earth, oh, it's like a flying saucer. Oh, and it's gone. Imagine seeing it from space.
Yeah.
As it's exiting Earth.
Oh, that's even creepier.
Think about that one. Mm-hmm. Creepy thought. Apparently, Neil Armstrong had a secret transmission to NASA. And basically, to sum it up was he basically saw an alien craft on the crater of the moon, watching them. Yeah.
Wow.
I don't know how credible that is because, there's also a lot of conspiracy on if the moon landing even happened.
Yeah, there's a lot of conspiracy with that. Mm-hmm. But, you've heard of pilots, we've even talked about this in other episodes where pilots, Air Force or, just regular airlines have noticed a craft hovering, following them, and then just disappears out of their radar or out of their view and stuff like that. So Wouldn't be surprising that they'd stalk a spacecraft too.
They've reported weird lights from space that didn't make sense, and like one of them was in the shape of an upside down question mark.
It's questionable.
Right? Were you upside down, or was the question mark right side up? Or upside down. Don't mind me. I'm flipped over.
I think space is scary just because of anything that can happen there. You can get hit by an asteroid. You can come back to Earth, enter Earth's orbit, and just explode because you had a tile that was loose on your ship. You know, there's just
We're
so
not even
much
getting into
stuff.
space. Let's talk about Challenger for a second.
They didn't even make it into space.
That was so sad.
That was really sad.
That was a launch that should never have happened. Period. But because of basically a O-ring and cold weather.
Yeah. What made me really sad about that is that their death was not instant, you know. It was they had a few minutes of knowing what was happening to them, and you know, that fear, you know, and their families watched that. I think that's one of the scary parts too.
That's
their
tragic.
family couldn't do anything. They just could watch, and half the families didn't even know exactly what was happening because, you know, the space launching and all that was still really new, so no one knew what it would actually look like.
Yeah, and then NASA didn't exactly help that situation. There was a complication.
Yeah. And just seeing them break down and everything. But the fact is, these people lived for a good few minutes before hitting the water. You know, just thinking of what were they thinking when that happened.
Yeah, so if any of you are wondering exactly what we're talking about, for those that probably assume, like when the Challenger exploded, like they all died instantly. No, as it turns out, the cab portion, basically in the explosion, busted off, fell, you know, from, I don't know, I don't remember what the footage was, but like way the fuck up there. And like they saved the explosion. They probably were like just from the explosion was probably either unconscious or they could have been awake. It depends, but likely weren't conscious, you know, remotely. They could have been. There's a chance that they were. Or they woke up during the fall. They had no idea, like, there was a failure until the point of explosion, basically.
Yeah.
There was no indication of a problem until they saw a plume.
Oh, yeah.
Remember that? A plume. It was just a plume of smoke. No, it was freaking jet fuel and flame coming out the side of a booster rocket. But that's a whole nother topic. We can go on a whole episode on the rant of why the Challenger should never have happened.
Yeah, but I think space travel in general, it's just, you know, it's something that, it's almost a sacrifice. People that do this know that they may not make it back. They may not see their family again. And so, you know, that in itself is just a fearful thought.
It is, because you don't know what you're going to get into. And mind you, a lot of time when they describe space travel, or like how they describe this, even the space shuttle, how they was verbatimly worded was it is still test flighting. It wasn't like a licensed flight. It was still considered just like test flight. You don't know what you're going to get to. There's no basically guarantees, or you're going to make it, you can make it back, or whatever. There was always that chance of failure, and it wasn't like down to a science like, you know, commercial aircraft, you know, where, you know, they have that stuff. It's been tested, and, you know, the space shuttle program was still, you know, at that point, you know, they brought the teacher on board as, you know, basically a publicity stunt. They weren't getting as much interest in space launches anymore because they've been launching shuttle after shuttle after shuttle, and then all of a sudden, people lost interest.
And the sad thing about that is her school, her students, everyone was excited. Everyone was watching this. Her students were in the auditorium, you know, and they pretty much saw their, you know, beloved teacher just lose their mind.
It's sad. It really is. It's tragic. And I remember the Columbia.
Oh, yeah.
I was actually around and alive and old enough to understand what happened, you know, because apparently kind of the same pattern with Challenger. reported failures from multiple launches of an O-ring problem. An O-ring problem. Discovery had an O-ring problem. They known about this O-ring problem. Well, turns out the tile problem was also known. And then, Columbia was the first space shuttle, and that was just a really sad way to see it go. Mm-hmm. Just tragic. Loose tile, reentry, explosion. So that aspect, it is scary. Space travel is very much unknown, very risky. You're risking your life as soon as you board that ship. And people invested years and years of training, and unfortunately, some of the stuff that happens, training doesn't prepare you for.
Yeah, because no one has spent that much time in space to actually be like, this is what could happen, this is what you could see, this is what to expect. So everyone that goes up there is pretty much like I said, a sacrifice.
Mm-hmm. We're basically, if for lack of a better word, test dummies.
Yeah.
Because there's
It hasn't been perfected by anybody.
No. Everyone's got their failures and,
But I think that's why people gravitate towards these type of movies, these space movies, being lost in space. It's almost as scary as being lost at sea because, the sea is just so big. The ocean is huge. There's creatures underneath. Space,
Space is massive.
Yeah.
I mean, think about technically, I think, what was it saying? It's like 6 months to get to Mars? Mm-hmm. 6 months. And we're trying to, figure out how to, are we able to live on Mars? Like, that's 6 months away. Mm-hmm. And then the rover ships that made it there, that's really cool. Like, that's really cool that we've gotten that far. Like, we've, put our footprint on Mars. Mm-hmm. In that aspect, it's also scary.
Yeah, some of these cameras have picked up weird sounds.
Mm-hmm. Weird sounds, images.
Specimens, things like that. But you always see movies where, they may touch base on a planet and then they bring something home with them or something. Kind of interesting.
Yeah, it's creepy. And like some of the stuff astronauts have described as, someone described some of the stuff as space snakes. What? Alien space snakes. Okay. I heard of snakes on the plane, but snakes in space is so ridiculous.
Yeah.
Now, another weird thing. What happens if you hit a satellite? What if you're flying your little spaceship, you just do you stop and get the insurance information?
Little alien comes out. Hey, you hit me.
That's why our cell phones stopped working. Anyways, but yes, space travel in general is freaky in that aspect. And, it's amazing how far we've come since we've started. But, the few tragedies that we have had and failures, yes, we've learned from them, but I think they also were very much preventable. Mm-hmm. Like if people would have just taken the time and, maybe not called to launch, that should have never happened. Because the public wants a rocket launch. But, so would you travel to space?
Honestly, that's one of the things I would fear probably, the space travel. Just because, like I said, you get a tear in your suit, you're repairing, the ship, your body spontaneously combusts, your eyes.
She's getting graphic.
I don't know. You always see they turn into glass and explode and disintegrate to ash into space, or they get disconnected from their ship and they just float out somewhere. I don't know. Would
you be considered a hero?
To disintegrate in space?
What hero for science? I mean, what public, I'm trying to, it's cool.
Supposedly, the fear is that Earth's climate is going to become so inhabitable that they feel we're going to have to find life somewhere else. That's one theory of why we're doing all this. Another, we want to explore. We want to see what's out there. We want to see if there's other life forms. Why is it just Earth? What other life forms are out there? But there's also that theory of Earth is going to fade away one day and mankind wants to go to another place.
Now, what conditions would you travel to space? Would there be any, like...
I don't know. Even if they gave me all the money in the world, if I explode in space, I'd never get to use it.
What if it was life or death?
To get off this planet?
Yeah. What if, like, if you don't go to space now, then you're not going to live tomorrow? That's pretty demented and fucked up, I know.
That's pretty deep. It depends why we have to leave Earth. Is there zombies? You know, is there...
She's like, I'm going to take on the zombies. If there's zombies, I'm not going to space. I'm just going to shoot their ass.
There's a reason you gave me a tomahawk.
And I heard you went and experienced the slaughterhouse, and you were a hell of a zombie shooter.
Yeah.
They put you in the front. Nothing like listening to Rob Zombie's Dracula shooting zombies.
Yeah,
and
it was
put her in the front.
perfect. It was perfect. Yeah, I had a lot of rage that day, and if you haven't gone yet, you should do it. You should
I'm
do
running
it.
out.
Yeah, it's like, yeah.
By the way, this is not a sponsored podcast.
No, it's not. But it was pretty cool. I like doing like the haunted houses, the spooky haunts, and all that stuff. And so, it's Halloween time, and I always do something traditional, like one of the haunted houses a year, just because they can be a little pricey.
Zombies.
This year, I decided to shoot some zombies.
You ever played laser tag with zombies? Now's your chance.
Yeah.
Sounds like fun. Wish I could have gone to that, but just to witness her kicking zombies' ass. I mean, I really would have loved to see.
They get you amped up too. They tell you, they like put you in this dark room. They have like gas masks on, and they tell you that you will get a gun if you make it through this obstacle course in the dark, up this staircase and into the armory. And as soon as they let you in, they play like I said, they were playing Rob Zombie. And they have lights flashing and you hear things growling at you and something started chasing you. It's scary. Made you think that you were really going to get bit, you were going to get eaten, and then there's like a hand coming out from under the stairs. I'm surprised they didn't get stepped on. But
workman's comp. I'm gonna be the guy under the stairs.
there's like fog, and you're just like, and the music, the strobe lights, you're just like, there's a freaking zombie gonna get me. Gets you all amped up, and then they show you how to use the gun, how to shoot it, and then they like throw you out there. And, some of them are mechanical zombies, and then some of them are...
Mechanical zombies.
And then some of them are people dressed as zombies, and they will only die if you shoot them in the head. So they have, like, little laser headbands, and it, like, blinks all the way. But,
That's funny.
It was pretty cool.
I have to stop and pause for a second and go, wait, mechanical zombies? Is that what happens to robots if they turn to zombie?
Yeah. There was one thrashing on the floor, but it was all, like, robotic. I've shot that one a few times.
Yeah, you did. I know you did. You don't like things crawling on the floor like that. Get off the ground.
But
Get off the ground, robot.
Totally would recommend it. Wish it was around year round.
Year round.
Yeah.
Yeah. Slaughterhouse, if you listen to this, do it year round. We'll come shoot zombies all the time.
The funniest thing, though, is, because we're in the season of COVID still, we had to wear masks.
Don't give COVID its own season. Don't give it that kind of encouragement.
After running up the stairs and shooting zombies, oh, my goodness.
Wearing a mask at the same time. Oh, yeah. My God.
One of the ladies was like, you're outside, you can pull it down and breathe. Because I was like...
Burn to the witches. Oh, my God. Can't breathe.
But yeah, it totally got me amped up. It really scares you. It does, because you know they're actors. You paid to get scared. Who pays to get scared? I do. And so, like...
A lot of people do. Very popular.
But, they did a really good job amping you up. So, if you like to be scared or, you just need a little bit of an adrenaline kick, totally do it.
Heck yeah. They should do a space zombie one.
Ooh. That's the cool thing about these little haunts. If you're a regular, or not a regular, you go every year, they change it up every time. They have a different theme.
Ooh. Mm-hmm. It's good. It's good to get your frequent flyer zombie shooting points. How many points did you get last year? 100? Going for 200 this season.
The funniest thing, though, there was a group of girls, and we laughed about it because there was a group of girls in high heels.
What?
In high heels at a haunted house.
Hold on. So you're telling me a group of girls went through a haunted house in high heels?
Yes.
Were they thinking they were on expert mode?
They wanted to be running sexy, but I'm pretty sure they ran in.
Broke their heels.
Fell.
First ones that got eaten by zombies.
Seriously.
They were really trying to fit the bill of we're the dumb ones.
And it's like all dirt and grassy outside. And I'm just like, why would you wear high heels to this? And if you wore high heels, I'm sorry. I'm sure you looked hot, but...
Yeah, that's probably not the place for high heels.
Definitely
Not
not.
a formal date, you know. I'm gonna wear my high heels. I'm gonna look good while I get eaten by a zombie. Yeah, I gotta look sexy for that zombie to eat me. Maybe after that zombie's off work, he'll really eat me.
Hey! Such a dork.
I don't know. I'm trying to get in the mindset, you know. What were they thinking?
And we know Drew wants to be a zombie.
Rawr.
That's a different type of show. Okay.
We went there. We're sorry. We're gonna stop that now. I was good for 40 minutes. Couldn't help myself. She opened the door for that one. I went in it.
Still a few days left of October, so I'm going to try to sneak into some other haunted house in the next few weeks. So
Let's do it. Where are we gonna go?
Yeah, we should do one together. Let's do one.
Yes, definitely. Turn the corn.
That's just up the road.
It is. Don't give our location away. What are you doing?
It could be in China.
We're not in China.
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 Okay.
We're gonna get in trouble.
All right. You guys.
All right.
Well, thanks for listening. Have a
Thanks for
good night.
listening.
Let us know about your haunts and what you think about space.
Yeah, what do you think about space and do you need it? Stay creepy, guys. We'll see you in the next episode.